my goodness, I'm so excited today for episode 18 of Connections Restored TV, an affiliate of the Bill and Callie Show Network. Welcome. My name is Amiee Boswinkle. I am an intuitive and a women's energetic mindset, marketing, and strategy business coach. And today we're going to be talking about how to create the life you desire by utilizing positive thoughts. And what a journey it has been for me to be able to arrive at this space and speak around this topic with such clarity. So what I want to do is I want to take you back in my timeline, not all that long ago, to just a few years ago when I was not even aware that I was thinking so many negative thoughts. In fact, they were fear thoughts. I was so afraid of what other people thought of me. I was so afraid of speaking my truth because every time I spoke that truth to people in authority, and the people in authority I'm speaking about are, bosses that I had who really genuinely appreciated, the work that I did in their realm, right? Because I had jobs before in brick and mortar businesses before I had my own business. And I was always seen as someone who was motivated and disciplined and showed up and knew how to complete tasks and had a creative mind and could create projects from scratch. I could just be given ideas and be able to create projects from scratch and complete them from the beginning all the way to the end, not get caught up in the middle and then like fall off track and leave it for someone else to do, but actually 100% start to finish be able to create projects. But I was so caught up in this fear because I was so sensitive to criticism. I didn't like it at all. In fact, I took it very personally, and really all it was constructive criticism all the time, but I was just so sensitive inside of myself. I took everything personally, and I would, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, I would cry about it, and it would bother me for days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months on end, and it was me, and I didn't even always realize it. I was so stuck in the fear of what people would think of my past. So it wasn't until I was 40 years old that I started to tell people the story of who I was, right? I was this person who had become an alcoholic and a heroin addict, and I suffered from binge eating disorder, and I hid those things from people for a really, really long time, for more than 20 years at that point in time, because I was so afraid of what other people would think of me, because I put on this hat that I wore, right? Like we all put on these beautiful hats of this is what we want other people to see. And I started to shift. I started to wake up and understand that there was a way to think differently. There was a way to see life differently. There was a way to be more emotionally mature in what I saw in life, and in a more emotionally mature way of how to deal with my own emotions. And I didn't understand how emotionally immature I personally was. So what I started to recognize is that I had created some habits and some patterns in my life, because our brain works in patterns, right? When we feel a certain way about something in our life. So let's say we're completing a project at work, like I used to do, and our boss comes to us and they're like, hey, you know what? I think that it would be great to change this a little bit and do this. And, I would go into this emotional, like, I did it wrong, and it's not liked, and I need to change everything. And it was just like such extremes. I was so polar opposite. I would be like really happy and then really sad, and I would take the criticism incredibly personally. And what I learned along the way, what I learned along this journey is that, people are just always trying to do their best to make sure that we're utilizing our time as efficiently as we possibly can, and they're just providing insight into how to make things better. And once I opened myself up to those possibilities, the fear spaces of perfectionism started to go away. And what I started to learn around perfectionism was this, that, perfectionism is a really high standard. And I am, for all practical purposes, a very high achiever. I am someone who has high standards for herself, who shows up, who is incredibly disciplined, who is incredibly motivated, who is incredibly driven, and I show up every day for myself in my own life. I have always been this way, even when I was suffering from alcoholism and heroin addiction and binge eating disorder. And although back then, when I was going through those things, I thought I wore this badge of honor of, I'm doing it, I'm paying all my bills, and I'm still a productive member of society, until I wasn't anymore, because that that path led me down a slippery slope that went downhill really, really fast. But I wore this badge of honor of like, look at all the things that I can still do, right? Because I was a high achiever, because I did have high standards. And a perfectionist, what I've learned along the way, has these really high bars that once they hit their goal, they continue to raise the standard instead of celebrating their success. So I had been living this life of creating things and hitting my goals, but I wasn't celebrating my success. I wasn't celebrating me. And so I was always allowing myself to live in this space of not good enough. I was never good enough for me. I was good enough for other people, but I couldn't see that. Even though people would praise me, all I saw were the negative comments, which honestly weren't negative at the time when I look back on it. The constructive criticism, which I took as I was a failure, and I completely and totally went into this drama-filled failure mode, disappointment in myself, not in other people, but being incredibly disappointed with my own work and saying like, well, it's not good enough and I need to start over. And right, it was just such a really heavy energy. And I didn't understand that energy was what was holding me back from living my best life. And it was holding me back from living the life that I actually dreamed of living. When I was in my early 20s, I had dreams of having healthy food, organic gardens and restaurants where people would come and it would be organic food and cooked from scratch and made with love and all of these things. And it really stemmed all the way back from when I was 7 years old. I had these recurring visions of leading people up a mountain, and I always saw this land called the village, and there were healers and people who lived there, and we were bettering people's lives, right? And so I've actually held the vision of my life's purpose since I was 7 years old. And since I was 3 years old, I've seen angels, right, in my life. As my great-grandmother was dying of cancer when I was 3 years old, in the corner of the room was an angel. And my great-grandmother was scared, and the angel was telling me information to share with her, which I did, and that was to not be afraid, and that where she was going, there was nothing to be worried about, that she would still be able to see us. There would be no more pain. There would be no more fear, right? And I would relay this information to her, and it calmed her. And I recognized that when I was young. But right around that same time, I started to get sexually abused by a family member, and I shut down. I lost my voice. So that created, as I got older in my life, this feeling and the sense of not being heard, of not being seen, of my voice not being recognized and not being worthy of my voice of being recognized. So a lot of times I would hold back my truth and not stand in that. So I lived in fear. I lived in so much fear in my life, and I didn't even know it. And the more amazing part when I look back on it now is that I didn't even realize that I was choosing that. But then one day I woke up and I started to recognize and realize that I was choosing fear. I kept choosing fear over and over and over and over again. And when I lived in fear, what that created was this overly dramatic, immature version of myself who couldn't handle criticism, because she would fall apart. This version of Amiee who was always falling apart because she couldn't handle criticism. And I'm not even talking about painful criticism, but just constructive criticism that would help me grow. And so as I started to heal these wounds within myself, to look back and say, okay, you know what? I actually do have a voice, and it does have resonance with certain people, and that the stories that I have walked through actually do create experience, strength, and hope for other people. And if I continue to show up and I let go of what other people think of me, and I transform my thoughts from those of fear to those of love, to those of inner peace, to those of higher dimensional consciousness, then that energy actually attracts more of what I want into my life. And what I really want in my life is to just continue to show up as a person full of good heart, of good feeling, of pureness, of purity of being, of pure energy, right? Squeaky clean energy, someone who is seen as integral. You know, the industry that I'm in, there's a lot of different thoughts that go along with that. There are some people who believe that coaches in this industry are just all about themselves and all about the money and all about getting people in and not caring. But, you know, that's not true for all coaches. What I've learned is that, you know, what's important to me is to be in integrity and to make sure that I'm always honest with people, and to make sure that I am helping people make empowered choices that actually empower their lives and help them to move forward. And if I'm not the right guide for them on their journey, then I'm going to let them know that. And I made a lot of connections over the past almost 3.5 years, and that I can connect them if they choose with a person who's better suited for their needs. Right? So what I want you to do is, instead of taking this information in is from the story I just told you around the coaching, but really connecting that to you. How are you showing up in the world? Are you a person of integrity? Are you abiding and holding to your word? Do you do the things that you say that you're going to do? Are you doing them from a place of pureness, right? And pureness just means there's no attachment to the outcome. There's no attachment to how anybody receives your message. There's no attachment to people deciding to, you know, follow you along on your journey or not follow you along on your journey, right? But just being here and being of high service to others along their path as they are transforming whatever it is they're trying to transform in their life. Because what I've learned along this journey is those shadow spaces or those fear spaces actually hold a lot of wisdom. But a lot of times we get caught up in them because they don't feel good. Fear, guilt, shame, lack of clarity, doubt, uncertainty, those spaces, they don't feel good. But once we recognize that those feelings are just a guidance system, they're just signals that something's out of alignment and is asking to be looked at and healed, not pushed down, not given all of our attention to those lower vibrational fear thoughts or the shadow spaces, but actually just gently observing them and recognizing them and saying, what wisdom do you have to share with me? What do I need to learn to grow from this space? What new choice can I make to become a more empowered version of myself? And as we start to do this, our thoughts, our feelings, our behavior, our identity starts to shift and transform into a thinking human that has positive, higher vibrational thoughts. Right? And truly, truly, you will one day, when you've transformed enough, arrive at the space that things that happen, they just are. It's only the human being that puts attachment that this is a good thing and this is a bad thing, right? It's only the human attachment and judgment that something is good or something is bad. Really, Everything just is. We're just being, we're experiencing things. But most people don't know how to be present and focused in that moment. So once we arrive at the space of recognizing that we're in those fear spaces, that we're continually going back to the past, and that we have to understand that when we have done that enough, we don't even have to think about it. We've actually created a behavior that our body automatically has resonance with. So our body automatically goes to fear spaces. It's automatic at that point. That's what behaviors are. Behaviors are something that we have done over and over and over and over and over again, that we don't even have to consciously think about what we're doing, because our body knows exactly what to do, because we have trained our body to have a certain reaction, a certain behavior around the thoughts that we're thinking, and it becomes incredibly unconscious. So we have to start to gain awareness. And how do we gain awareness? We have to make a choice, right? We have to make a choice that we want to change the way we are being in our life, to become a new version of ourselves who is being someone different, who has new behaviors and a new identity and new feelings attached to positive thoughts. Now, what I've learned along the journey from myself, from transforming so much, and from the clients that I am so blessed to get to work with, is that the journey of becoming a positive, happy person isn't as easy as we think. It sounds so easy to say, I want to be a person who's happy, right? And who doesn't want to be happy? Sometimes people who are really stuck in their pain don't want to be happy because they don't know how. And I get that, because I've been there. I've been that person who doesn't understand happiness at all, right? But when we wake up and we're like, I want to be a person who wakes up and I'm smiling and I'm laughing and I'm having a great time. And no matter what is going on in life, I find the humor in it. I find the wisdom in it. I find the way to transform it. I find the wisdom in the fear space that comes to me, because I gain awareness and I understand that this is just asking to be looked at. But this journey of becoming a positive person actually requires us to gain new behaviors and new skill sets, and to gain awareness of when we are in those sad or lower vibrational negative spaces, sometimes called shadow states. And we just gently gain awareness and we say, isn't this interesting that I'm choosing to think these thoughts? This is a really interesting space for me to be in. I know that this is a place that I know well. Does this serve me? Is this the person that I desire to be? Right? And we allow the answer to bubble up through us. No, this is not the person I desire to be. I want more for my life. I want to learn the art of the law of attraction and learn to magnetize and amplify and bring those things that I desire more of into my life. Great. Now, what action can you take to feel a little bit better than how you feel right now? These are the exact thoughts that I think when I find myself in fear spaces or guilt or shame, because I still go to those places. But the cool thing is that I practiced enough that I gain awareness very quickly, and I know exactly what tool to pull forward, which is the one that I just gave you. Just being very curious around the thought. Isn't this interesting that I'm choosing to think this thought around this old version of myself? Does it serve me? No. Great. What new action can I take to feel just a little bit better? And some days I fall off track. In fact, for the past couple of days, I've been a little bit on an emotional roller coaster. That's okay. That's okay. And the reason why it's okay is because I've learned to love who I am and all the ways that I am every day, right? When I look in the mirror every morning, I'm like, what new amazing thing is going to happen for me today? I'm so excited. I love myself. I love my life. I'm excited for what's going to be brought to me today. And that when I find myself in those lower vibrational spaces or shadow states or negative thinking, I just shift over to this new space because I've created a new behavior. I've created a new identity. And that new identity is a person who is positive, who wants to show up in life and be good enough, right? I'm no longer the perfectionist. I have broken those chains and I just allow myself to be good enough every day. When you allow yourself to be good enough, because it's not about being perfect. Perfect is a paradigm that allows for people to not be able to move forward and they're not celebrating their life. You are a gift, friend. You're an absolute gift. Your life is a gift. Why you're here is a gift. And once you learn to be able to transform those spaces and you stand in your truth and you speak your truth and you're in integrity around it, and it's not coming from a forceful place of look at me and listen to me. It's just this really pure, beautiful, integral energy moving forward into life because you are being the person you desire to be. This is the space of magic. This is the space of magnification. This is the space of emotional intelligence, when you're just being and allowing yourself to be, because your life is a gift. The fact that you were given this beautiful human body and you get to go out into life is a beautiful gift. And once you step fully into that and you own that power, you own that strength, and you see yourself as an amazing being of light who is here to shed light unto others, because this is a consciousness of being able to shift people from a space of fear into a space of love. We are literally upgrading the operating system of the human, and the operating system is the way that the brain thinks. We're helping people to transform old wounds that have been harbored and held onto inside of them, so people no longer blame or live in shame or live in guilt. People can just say, this is who I am. These are the life experiences that I have been through. And you know what? They made me who I am today. And I learned so much along the journey. It's about learning what you need to learn along the journey. And all the places where we feel that we fell off track are actually the golden nuggets. Right? So when I look back on my life and using heroin and using alcohol to numb the pain so I didn't have to deal with the reality of what was really going on in my life because I didn't know how. So I would just numb out so that I didn't have to deal with it. I look back and I say, oh my gosh, those are the most beautiful gifts I was ever given. There's no pain attached to that for me anymore. I've transformed that. I have amnesia around the pain. Those are my stories. Right? And they allowed me to become the person that I am today. And the person that I am today is so happy and so free and so content and has the life of her dreams, right? The life of her dreams. Never in a million years did I ever think that I could have my own business and be able to come on. I found my voice. I found my voice so that I could talk to you guys. And that has been such a journey too. Oh my gosh, if you guys could see me almost 3.5 years ago giving my first talks, and the amount of panic and anxiety after the talk, it would take an entire month for me to get over the anxiety. And I would lay on my bedroom floor and I would be crying and crying and crying and crying and be like, oh my gosh, what would people think? And all this emotional immaturity was coming out. But there was this drive inside of me, I just couldn't stop. And now I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I get to be able to come on and share my story of experience, strength, and hope with all of you. There is nothing I would rather do with my waking hours than to continue to talk with all of you and let you know that no matter what it is that you have gone through, no matter where it is you are in your life, no matter what pain you feel you are traveling through, there is a way. There is a way. I am living proof. And there are other people on this planet who are living, breathing examples of transformation, like big transformational change. Not small ones, but really big. And in my eyes, the universe has provided these people, such as myself and those of you watching this video, guides. so that as we're evolving into the next space of consciousness, so that our tribes can survive, we know, because we've upgraded this operating system, how to be able to travel forward and create the life of our desires. And it's as simple as this: gaining awareness of when your mind starts to travel to the past or to the future, which is anticipation, and gently bringing it back to this present moment, and fully loving yourself, being excited every day for what is going to occur, and being okay with not knowing what that might be. Just being in the moment. And the first way that I started to practice this, not only was it the catching the awareness through the thought process that I took you guys through of just being curious. Isn't it interesting that I'm choosing to think these thoughts of a version of myself that I used to be? Is this who I desire to be in this moment? No. Great. Now what new action can I take? But I started to connect more to nature, and I started to connect to trees and flowers and bodies of water, and I started to just stand there and be very, very present with the energy of nature, because the energy of nature is full of wealth consciousness, and wealth consciousness is just self-worth. Connecting to the energy of that beautiful body of lush greenness here in Northwest Indiana. We've had lots of rain and it's been humid, but it's so green and so beautiful. And when I've been running every morning, I've just really been connecting to the energy of the trees and the grass and the wisdom that it has to share, because it's got something to say. And if we are being present and in the moment, we will allow that energy to come into us and gain the wisdom that we need from it. And it takes practice. And I know that some of you watching this might be like, that's kind of an interesting concept. I've never heard of that before. And others of you are on the personal growth journey and you already know this, right? But it's being present with yourself and being really connected to whatever's in front of you in that moment. That will bring you the space of positive thoughts. And in that space, you will gain infinite amounts of wisdom. So I hope that this video served you well today, friends. I know that it came exactly from my heart space. It's what was asking to be shared with you during this incredible time of transformational change on this planet and higher consciousness, higher thinking. And it has been such an honor to be able to serve all of you today. If you enjoyed this video, if you gained wisdom from it, please make sure you share this video out to your friends, because it is my desire to share experience, strength, and hope with other people on this journey. And if you would like to learn more around how to transform your thoughts and become a person of his or her word, to become the happiest person that you know, because that's who I am. I learned how to become the happiest person on this planet. I am the happiest person that I know, and that energy just attracts more of what I want into my life: more friends, more clients, more wealth, more business, right? More things that light me up, more desires, and that allows for greater expansion and more positive thoughts. So please make sure you share this video if it spoke to you. And I just want to give a huge shout out to the Bill and Callie Show. I absolutely love the Bill and Callie Show. Please make sure you like and follow the Bill and Callie Show. Bill and Callie have given me this amazing opportunity to come and share with you every week. And it has been such a blessing to me, friends, to be able to connect with all of you. Some of you have reached out to me and sent private messages around how the message touched you or transformed you or woke you up in some way. Or a lot of times some of you say, I don't even know what happened, but there was this energy that came over me as you were speaking. I love hearing from you, is the bottom line. So I just want to thank Bill and Callie for this beautiful opportunity. Please make sure you like and follow their business page. They do amazing things and showcase amazing people here in Northwest Indiana and beyond. And if you feel called to follow me, you can follow me on my business page, Connections Restored. I do videos pretty much every day there. Sometimes I do it in my private group, Women Rising, Healing Money Shame. And you can also friend request me here on Facebook. And like I said, I'm always open to having conversations with you. I love you, friends. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with me. I appreciate you so much, and we'll be talking soon. Take care. Bye.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Green Balance Hemp and Wellness. Hi everybody, and welcome to our very first bi-monthly Green Balance Hemp and Wellness fan club and beverage of your choice girls get together. And I guess I'll start first. Obviously, you all know I'm Callie, and I have to say that my favorite Green Balance product is the essential oil infusions. It is this topical relief oil. It's in a roller ball. I put it on. First of all, it smells amazing. I can put it on my temples for headaches. I can rub it all over, and it's got this cooling sensation, and it just keeps me kind of chill and zen all day. So why don't we start? We'll introduce everybody. Lily, why don't you tell everybody what your favorite product is?
Well, I too love all their products, but as a certified fashionista and a makeup artist to the stars, I would have to say that my favorite products are the 100 milligram face serum and of course the orange and honey lip balm, because in my line of work, having lovely skin is so important, and I even tell my clients if they want their skin to be smooth and radiant, the face serum is amazing, and definitely the lip balm keeps your lips so smooth and luscious. Oh, that would be my favorite. Okay, now we're going to go over to our new member, Denise. Oh, me? Well, like you, I like all their products, but if I had to choose my favorite, I would have to say that as a wife of a husband who travels an awful lot, and as the mom of 6 really active kids, my favorite product would have to be the 500 milligram CBD oil. I put 2 drops under my tongue every morning, and it really helps me get through the day. I mean, when you've got 2 sets of twins and 2 teenagers, you need all the help you can get. Okay, next we're going to introduce Gwendolyn.
Oh, my turn. Well, I mean, obviously, all of their products are bloody brilliant, right? But I have to say that my favorite would have to be the Vetiver and Sage CBD infused soap. I mean, my skin is so incredibly sensitive, and so whenever I use a product, it either used to leave it so dry and crepey feeling, or else it was so greasy feeling. Well, this soap is just brilliant on my skin. I mean, it is soft and soothing and just feels wonderful all over. I mean, yes, I love all their products, but if I had to choose, that would be my favorite.
And now we're going to talk to Naya.
Well, I do love their CBD pet drops, but if I had to pick my favorite, it would have to be the Green Balance Paw Balm. My paws sometimes will get itchy or bother me, and when I put this on, it makes them feel much better.
Well, thank you everybody for coming today to enjoy our very first bi-monthly meeting, and let's make sure that we get out there and tell everybody how much we love Green Balance Hemp and Wellness, and how you can go onto their website to get all the information for the great products that they sell.
All right, see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.